One of my best friends who's known me since I was 19 is sitting across the table from me right now, and she's like mocking me, and it's kind of fun. I should do Facebook Lives with Heather sitting at my table all the time. Welcome. I have Dolly Parton today. Yay! So good. That was a nice boob shot too. So that's for you, everybody. You're welcome. I mean, as long as we're going to talk about the Madonna whore, I might as well give you a good shot of my boobs. So welcome to Facebook Live. It's Wednesday. It's 11 a.m. I have decided that we should talk about something super controversial, which is the Madonna whore binary, otherwise known as, are you a good girl or a bad girl? Heather's like, both. And hi, Bree. I was just talking about you this morning, Bree Gaylor. I love you. I think you're beautiful. I'm happy to see your face. Before we get going and diving into the Madonna whore ridiculousness, I really wanted to show you my new birthday mug from Lily Romagnello, who I never say her last name right, even though she's my cousin and I never get it right. But what I would like to point out specifically about this mug in particular is it is a dirty bird mug. So you've got the bearded tit and the red-billed oxpecker, But my favorite part is that when you get done with your tea, it says tit on the bottom. And you know what? I'm all about drinking from the tit. So there you go. Good stuff. Anyway. Oh, it's nice to see you. I'm feeling really sassy today and a little bit saucy. So I just want to tell you where this all came from, this whole entire idea of talking about the Madonna whore binary. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about why I think it's really important for us to discuss this in the context of the Graceful Revolution. So for those of you that don't know, the Graceful Revolution is something that came to me in a dream, and I created a 6-step coaching program process to take how you feel about the shit that's happening in your life and in the world and move it through a process so that you can take action and gain clarity and confidence off of that process. One of the things I think is foundational to the work that we do in the Graceful Revolution is dealing with our ideas about who we are and where those ideas came from and how those are defined in the world. And one of those is about the Madonna whore binary. So I would guess, based on the 68 interviews I did for my dissertation and all of my friends who are women, that they walk around with this sort of notion that this idea that you are good until you're not good, and then you're bad. And so when I was doing my research and doing my interviews, one of the things that kept coming up over and over again is that they didn't want to be those girls, and they wouldn't even say the word slut. Like, they had a really hard time using the word slut. They didn't want to be those girls because being those girls was bad, but they were having sex, but they were keeping it a secret. So they were secretly going and getting birth control and then hiding it from their families, even if they were adult grown women. All these women were adult grown women, but they would hide their birth control from their parents because they didn't want their parents to know that they were having sex, but they didn't want to get pregnant because they didn't want to get an abortion, because they were anti-abortion, which is a whole new conversation for us to have. So the idea here is that we are all expected as women to be the Madonna, to be the virgin, to be the person who it comes to a marriage pure and clean. And then once we get married, we're expected to not only have lots of sex, but be banging in bed. But we're not allowed to practice beforehand because that makes us a slutty hoe. And we're not allowed to really come into a marriage as a Madonna because then we don't know what we're doing. And so we have to walk through this whole entire life trying to navigate this awful binary that came about because Christianity had to create a way to divide women, and they decided to do it along the Madonna whore binary. So if you're Eve, you know, you're a nasty bitch because you touched temptation. But we all are being held up as the Madonna and the virgin who all of a sudden magically gets pregnant out of nowhere. And we are supposed to maintain that virginal presence even in a marriage. And by the way, even in queer marriages. So I did not just have this experience when I was married to men. I have also had this experience married to women. And it's a really, really bizarre dichotomy. And the other day I was listening to my coach, Susan Hyatt, was on her podcast talking about how she was at the gym, and some guy at the gym, she was lifting weights or something with her trainer. And the guy at the gym talked about how if your legs are spread, you're a bad girl. But if your legs are together, you're a good girl. And so women who spread their legs are bad girls, but women who close their legs are good girls. And he was trying to actually help her through the steps of like an adductor machine where she was lifting weights and working on her glutes. But the whole entire metaphor was bad girls spread their legs and good girls close their legs. And you know what? I kind of think that's bullshit. I'm just going to say it. I kind of think that's bullshit. And the thing about it is that we carry that inside of our heads. So we might actually believe that that is bullshit, but we walk around carrying this notion that if we aren't good and demure and virginal and sweet talking and sweet spirits, then there's something wrong with us. And that is the problem that is keeping us from talking about how we feel about what is happening in the world. So really, what I want to hone in on for y'all is that the idea that we have to be good until we're not, and that we have to be demure until we're not, because you got to be, you know that line from that, who is it? Is it, oh shit. Damn it. This old lady brain is really starting to get to me. A lady on the street, but a freak in the bed. Who is that? Usher. It's Usher. Do not mock me later in the comments, please. Usher.
Do it now.
I do not. Yeah, mock me now. Don't mock me later. I don't listen to Usher. I listen to Metallica still. So, what I really want to get across to all y'all is that that I really think it is important to remember that we are constantly living under the shroud of whether or not we're a good girl or a bad girl. And it goes back to this idea that there can be a virgin who enters into a marriage and then all of a sudden she's expected to supply something that is in demand because she is simply married. And to that, I just really want to call bullshit. And so there are a couple of ideas that I have about calling bullshit to that. One of them is to start talking with your own friends and your own partners about whether or not they subscribe to this idea of the good girl and the bad girl. Because my guess is we're both. We have this ability to actually be both good girls and bad girls. And there's nothing wrong with that. I, as a Libra, call that balance. Everything balances out perfectly. And I think that if we can go from feeling that we have to be silenced based on who we are and how we operate in the world, if we go from feeling that we have to be silenced and cover our mouths and shut ourselves off from whether or not we want to be a good girl or we want to be a bad girl. Sometimes I want to be the perfect little housewife. Sometimes I really just do want to be the exact opposite of that. And that's called living, people. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. There's no guilt in that. That just is what it is. So the real idea of the graceful revolution is to take these notions that have been given to us for time immemorial, for thousands of years, that we hold up one woman over the other. So we're constantly trying to be that virginal Madonna who's perfect in every way and can do no wrong. Hello, Art. Can do no wrong. We hold her up to be the greatest of things. But either because of our own personal sexual experiences or because we just really enjoy having sex, we become the thing that is not held up, the thing that eats the apple, the thing that tempts the man, the thing that is very, very bad. And so we live with this guilt because we're constantly seeking something that actually cannot exist, because none of us can give a virgin birth because it's non-existent, it's not real. But we're constantly held up that that is the thing that we are supposed to be. And let me just tell y'all right here, it is not. It's crap, it's bullshit. And so we should own both these qualities of the Madonna and the qualities of the whore, and be able to balance those out so that we can be whoever the hell we damn well please. Because that is the bottom line about the revolution. Really taking how you feel about these things, how you feel about what's happening in the world, how you feel about what is going on, not just politically, but within your own hearts and your own lives and your own minds, and figuring out how to change that dialogue within yourself is the way that we stop questioning whether or not we have to be good or bad, and we just start to be. So I hope that you will take this and run with the idea that the graceful revolution is just about being in your feelings and feeling your feelings, and then taking inspired action about those things that you are feeling, and not worrying about whether or not you're doing it right, not worrying about whether or not you are acceptable, not worrying about whether or not somebody is going to get upset by what you are saying and feeling and doing. Because if they get upset, that's just because you are shifting the way everybody has been thinking about you for all this time. So I want to give you explicit permission to pursue the idea that you can be both the Madonna or the whore. And if you want to join me for the Graceful Revolution, we're starting next week on October 23rd. For 6 weeks, we're going to be going through the process of taking how you feel about what is happening in your life, in your business, in your work, in your family, with your friends, and taking that all the way through this process where you get to figure out what your message is and how to be clear about what you want to say to other people, so you can take inspired, intentional action to gain clarity and confidence. So I'll put the link in the comments. There are payment plans available. So I would love to have you join me for the Graceful Revolution, and I hope that you will. And if you have any questions about the Madonna or binary, you want to talk further about it, I would love to. And in closing, I just want to say that I am so excited about the people who are already joining me on this journey. And thank you very much for being here. And I love you. Have a great day. Bye.